Hey guys, it's Bobby Legs and welcome to another episode of Bobby Legs Loves Watches. And today I will be reviewing the Biatec Leviathan 03. Now, Biatec is a Slovakian brand that I discovered for myself going down that YouTube rabbit hole a couple of months ago. You guys know what I'm talking about. So I saw there was only a couple videos, not many, and so I looked them up online and found that they had a beautiful line of watches from the Corsair, which is a pilot watch, the Majestic, which is a kind of like a sporty dress watch, and the Leviathan that I'm wearing here now. So I reached out to the company to see if they could lend us a watch into the channel so I could review it. And I spoke to Peter, the founder. After a few emails back and forth, he agreed to send one in. Now, this is not a promotional video. He did not give me this watch. He is not giving me a discount. After this review is done, I'm going to send it over to Random Rob and a couple other guys for them to review, and then we're going to send it right back to Peter in Slovakia. But I wanted to check this watch out because I really think this is a really good brand. Plus, also, I have a couple of great grandparents who identified themselves as Slovakian, so there was a little bit of pride in there that I wanted to see this for myself. But before we continue with the review, please remember to like and subscribe and hit that bell icon to get updates when I upload new videos. I love making these videos, and I hope you like them too. So let's get on with the review. Before I jump into the specs of this watch, I'm going to put a link in the description to Biatec's website. And when you guys have a chance, please check the website out. They do have, like I said before, some great other offerings in their lineup. The Corsair, which is a pilot's watch, the Majestic, which is a dress watch. Really, really beautiful, tastefully styled watches. Their website is great, very, very transparent. They list out all the specs to great detail. They talk about the movements that they put on the watch. The other two watches put on are powered by the Eterna Caliber 3901, which is a modular movement with 60-hour power reserve and 88 different ways you can modify it. It's almost you almost wonder why other watches are not using that movement, especially since the Swatch Group is really choking out the supply for the ETA to other brands. So please do check it out. And the prices are very, very reasonable for very highly finished and greatly finished watches. So we have a 40 millimeter case diameter watch here, 43 and a half when you're counting the crown, just over, slightly over 50 millimeter lug to lug, about a 14 millimeter case thickness. You have a 20 millimeter lug width. Now you do have this nicely domed sapphire crystal, which is about 3.5 millimeters thick. It's double anti-reflective coating in the interior. You got a one-way rotating bezel, diver bezel, of course, with a sapphire inlay and a super luminova GL light old radium, and you got the little red triangle at 12 o'clock there. What else? 316L stainless steel case with Nantec coating that has a Vickers hardness of 600. What all that means, it's highly resistant against scratches, so hopefully you'll have this watch for a good long time before you scuff it up. Polished finish, of course. Let's see here, the dial. Let's talk about the dial here because I really, really like this dial. It's almost like a chocolatey matted dial. And it really has this warm feeling to it that I like so much. You have the central seconds here with a red dot on the end filled with superluminova GL light old radium. The 3D gold-plated hour indices that are shaped of little shields, which is pretty cool. And they also are filled with superluminova GL light radium, and the gold-plated hands are also filled with that same radium. The gold-plated hands kind of look like I don't know, like oars, boat oars, or I don't know what the exact terminology for these type of hands, but that's what they look like to me. Um, we'll talk about the movement and then get back to the dial real quick. So you do have the Sellita SW200 here. They said it's the premium version on their website, they're calling it. You pull out once and you wind, or yeah, you wind right there. You pull out a second time. Let me actually move the hands so we can get a better look. Let's go 10-10, right, guys? Why not? So obviously the third position, you can change the time. The first position is, of course, to wind, and the second position is to change the date. Third position to change the time. It does hack. So getting back to the dial, why I needed actually to change the time, move the hands, was that check out this really cool 12 o'clock, the shield, the Biatec emblem. That also is filled with luminova and really looks great in the dark. And I'll put in a loom shot here. But this baby definitely looms up really nice. You have the 6 o'clock at the date at the 6 o'clock position, and it's framed out with that gold plated frame, automatic, 300 meter, 999 feet water resistance Leviathan in red. Speaking of Leviathan, let's go look at the case back here. This is, you have the sea monster here. Let's see if I get a nice little focus. And that is the Leviathan going through the Biatec shield. Pretty neat. It's like a relief, so that you feel it. It's not like it necessarily engraved into the case back, which is nice. The bracelet is a 20 millimeter throughout, polished on the top. I mean, satin and brushed on the top and polished on the sides here. At the end of the links, you have these two middle polished center links. It is a butterfly clasp. I don't have a problem with butterfly clasp. I know some people are not big fans of it. And then you have the nice Biatec emblem there. There is no micro adjust though. That is the downside of this class, but I was able to get a pretty good fit. So let me put it on wrist and give you guys a wrist shot. I have 6 3/4 inch wrists. So let's talk about how it fits. You know, when I see a watch in the specs when it has 50 millimeter or above lug to lug, I get a little worried about how it's going to fit, even though here the lugs do point down. This one feels great. The case back is relatively flat on my wrist. It is a thicker watch, and it's a slightly heavier than probably most of us are used to. But it's not that big of a deal actually. It feels very nice on wrist. The space, the case back is like spread out on top of my wrist, so it distributes the weight. So it feels pretty comfortable. You definitely know it's on, but I like that. I like to know that I have something on wrist, and so I really appreciate that. The lugs, look, the lugs are kind of funky. You know, this is a bold watch. You know, let's talk about the things that I like about it. So when I first opened up the box, I was like, whoa, that's pretty interesting. You know, in person it is pretty bold, and I wore it for a few hours the first night that I got it, and I was like, I didn't know how I felt about the watch. But this watch, the more and more I wore it, the more and more it grew on me. And here, I forgot to point out that you can screw, the lugs are screwed, so you can change the bracelet pretty easily here. So the more and more I wore it, the more and more I really appreciate the uniqueness, the boldness of the look of the watch, and like I said, it grew on me, and I really do like this watch, guys. It's so well done. It's so well finished. For this price point, you're looking at 1,075 euros, which is roughly in today probably close to around $1,200 American, maybe a little less, depending on the day, depending on when you see this. The one there's a couple of things that you know are not deal breakers, but things that I noticed about the watch that is interesting, and maybe I would have done it something differently. You do have a 4 o'clock crown here, which is fine, but the lugs, since they come straight down, um, at first it might be a little bit difficult to get a hold of, or for me it was to get a hold of the crown. But then you kind of adjust and you figure it out. So that's just one thing. And the other thing is that this bezel is pretty easily, you can definitely move it pretty easily. I wish there was a little bit more resistance. Not that it's going to move on you when you don't want it to move on you, but it's just really, really easy. I prefer my bezel um, to give me a little bit of resistance when I move it. Not too much back play here. It's fine. But these are very, very minor issues that I have with this watch. It's definitely not a deal breaker at all. Um, I love, like I said, the boldness of this watch. If you have other divers that look like dive watches or look like Rolex Submariners, and you want to try something really, really different and bold, and made by not a Swiss company, and not made by a German company, or not made by a Japanese company, definitely check these guys out. I think you'll be happy with this diver and the other watches in their lineup. Super, super interesting company, guys. Thank you for watching. Please comment below on what you think about the watch, and I'll see you guys in the next video.